What's up? What's up? It's your boy, Tunnel Vision, back for another one. Man, a lot of news about Crawford coming up this week and Earl Spence. That's the hot topic right now. Man, Bob Arum in an interview, and he makes the comments that, Terence Crawford's a great fighter. Surprisingly, he actually in the interview said Terence Crawford is a more talented and a better fighter than Lomancheko. But he says that Terence Crawford is not marketable like Lomancheko. Say what, nigga? Huh? But what Bob Arum meant to say was that I don't want to market Terence Crawford. I just want to market Lomancheko. That's the person I want to market. I want to market Tyson Fury. That's the person I want to market. And I don't give two shits about whether Terence Crawford is marketable or not. I don't want to market him. I want to market these guys. I want these guys to become the stars. I want these guys on pay-per-view. I want these guys to transcend, And then he also talked about how, Terence Crawford, how he just bombed the 2 times that he was put on pay-per-view or whatever. Well, that's because those 2 fights shouldn't have been on pay-per-view. That's number 1. And number 2, because you didn't promote those fights either. But they shouldn't have been on pay-per-view anyway. You clearly have to wait until the right time before you put somebody on pay-per-view. It didn't matter how big the numbers for Keith Thurman versus Danny Garcia was. It didn't matter how big Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter was. They didn't put those fights on pay-per-view because they didn't believe those were pay-per-view fights. It didn't matter that Amir Khan versus Danny Garcia was a huge fight, or Danny versus Lucas Matisse was a huge fight that everybody was looking forward to. They just weren't pay-per-view fights. You have to build someone to a certain level, before you can put them on that type of platform. If you don't, it's not going to do good. Doesn't matter who you are. You saw what happened with Triple G when they put him in there with whatever the Canadian dude's name is. Don't give a shit. When they put them up on TV, what the hell's his name? Lemieux? What the hell's this dude's name? Don't care. All right, they put them on pay-per-view, and we saw what happened with that. Didn't do good. They did trash numbers because it was a fight that should not have been on pay-per-view. But it is what it is. That's the reality is Terence Crawford needs to leave that place. You're working with people who don't care for you and who don't want you to become popular. They don't want you to become a superstar. His situation is no different than Floyd Mayweather's situation. Floyd Mayweather was somebody that could be marketed. You know what I'm saying? He was a beast in the ring. He was knocking everybody out. He was tearing everybody up. He clearly was the best fighter in the world, hands down. But it's just that Bob Arum didn't want to market him. He wanted to invest his time and energy into Miguel Cotto. He wanted to invest his time and energy into Oscar De La Hoya. And that was one of the reasons why he never had Cotto fight Floyd Mayweather when they were supposed to fight. The only way he would have let that happen was if he believed that Miguel Cotto was going to win that fight. If it was for that, if that was going to happen, then yes, he would have did it, because then that would have catapulted Cotto to the place that he wanted Cotto to be at. But he didn't want Floyd Mayweather to be a star, and he kept letting Floyd Mayweather, put himself into tough fight after tough fight after tough fight after tough fight. Something that he usually doesn't do with his fighters. That's something that he usually doesn't do. But if Floyd took a loss, great. Then he can bring his ass down a notch. It just never happened. When it comes to somebody like a Terence Crawford, you can't even compare the numbers. When it comes to viewership, he just smashes Lomancheko. When it comes to gates, he smashes Lomancheko. Like, it's not even close. Even with all the promotion that they've done for Lomancheko, doesn't matter. Does not matter. You know what I mean? He still trumps him. Just kind of like with all the money they invested in Tyson Fury. He's not doing any viewership close to what Terence Crawford does. His gates aren't anywhere close to what Terence Crawford's gates are. Terence Crawford is doing 5+ times the gate that he does. Easy. And then on top of that, Terence Crawford is supposed to have a fight in December that's not even announced yet. They're not promoting in any way. When's this fight going to be announced? When is this fight supposed to be announced? They haven't even announced that fight yet. But he doesn't care, because at the end of the day, he doesn't care about Terence Crawford's downfall. You know, his main focus is Tyson Fury, and his main focus is trying to turn Lomancheko into stars. Something that they'll never be, because they don't resonate with the American fan, boxing fan, regardless of where they're from, what region they're from, their ethnicity, none of that stuff. Jesus Christ, man. Fucking idiots. Doesn't matter. They don't resonate with those dudes. I don't know why they don't understand this. You know, they keep trying to still push this issue with like Eastern European fighters. It's never worked. They've never, ever resonated with the American fan, regardless of who that American fan is. They have nothing in common. And just because the skin tone happens to be the same color as certain Americans doesn't mean those Americans are just going to gravitate towards them because of that. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? It's not how it works. You know? But they keep pushing it, and they keep trying, and they keep failing. And they'll have a gem like a Terence Crawford right in front of them and won't care. They won't care at all. But at the end of the day, Terence Crawford, he's the one who decided to sign that contract. He's the one who decided to stay with them. He's supposed to be fighting 3 times a year. Only he's fighting twice a year. And he's not getting any big fights. You know, and when there's opportunities from him to get a big fights, they're not making it happen. They're turning it down. They're not willing to invest in them. They'll use the popularity that he does have to consistently get numbers, so he can show ESPN like, hey, this fight did good numbers, this fight did good numbers. So he can show ESPN that certain fights did do numbers. He'll do that, but Crawford starts to become more popular, he'll shut things down. He does not want that man to become popular. He will sabotage even making his company money with that dude in order to keep him from becoming, let's say, a bigger star than becoming a superstar. Because he wants Loma to have that. He wants Tyson Fury to have that. And that's one of the reasons why you're not going to see that Errol Spence fight either. If he thinks Errol Spence can beat him, he's not going to do that fight. Because that means Terence Crawford becomes a superstar. He doesn't want that. It sounds crazy, but he doesn't want that. Just like he didn't want Floyd Mayweather to be a superstar. And number 2, if he can't win and he'll get his tail kicked, he still doesn't want that either, because he needs, everybody else is bringing in shit numbers at ESPN. So he needs that constant where he can still have somebody bring in some real numbers, because everybody else is doing basura over there. Everybody. Lomancheko, they try to place him, like I said before, into like certain spots, a big event just ending, to try to, have him good numbers. But that's it. So either way, it is like, and their ESPN's giving him a fat check every time Terence Crawford fights. He's getting, trust me, he gets paid a whole lot more for those Terence Crawford fights than Terence Crawford gets paid. So he's looking at that money that he can make off this kid for the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's like he ain't messing that up. But Terence Crawford made his bed. He has to lay in it. When that contract's over, he can make that decision to leave or to stay if he wants to. But at this point, ain't no feeling bad for him anymore. That's number 1. Number 2, he's a grown-ass man. Time to take that baby bottle out of his mouth. And he needs to fight big fights. And if he doesn't, he needs to be reprimanded for it. Because all that, other side, those days are over. Especially after that Porter situation, how he turned down that fight. So we know. Certain areas, there are in cahoots with each other. But all the disrespect and him being pissed on by a top rank the way that he is on a consistent basis, he's chosen to be in that situation. He's chosen to be in that situation. So, can't feel bad for him. Like, subscribe. See you on the next one.